What if the gods of the ancient world were not merely symbols, myths, or poetic dreams of primitive minds? What if the beings who descended from the heavens in blazing chariots, walked among kings, delivered forbidden knowledge, and vanished back into the sky, were part of a mystery that humanity has never fully understood? For thousands of years, our ancestors looked upward with awe and fear. Across deserts, mountains, temples, and forgotten cities, they carved stories into stone and preserved them in sacred texts. They spoke of radiant beings coming from the stars, celestial messengers arriving in fire, gods who taught humanity agriculture, astronomy, architecture, law, healing, and the hidden patterns of the universe. To the modern mind, these stories are often dismissed as myth. But in our own age, something strange has returned to the skies. Unidentified craft, silent lights, impossible movements, encounters with beings that seem to defy ordinary explanation. Governments release reports. Pilots describe objects that move without wings, engines, or known propulsion. Witnesses speak of luminous forms, strange messages, missing time, and contact that feels not only technological but spiritual. And this raises a forbidden question. Are modern UFO phenomena completely new, or are they the latest form of an ancient encounter? In this video, we will journey into the shadowed intersection between ancient gods and modern sky mysteries. We will explore myths of descending beings, sacred texts that describe celestial vehicles, and esoteric traditions that suggest humanity has never been alone in its spiritual evolution. But this is not simply a search for aliens in old stories. It is a deeper investigation into consciousness, symbolism, and the possibility that what ancient people called gods, modern people may call extraterrestrials, and mystics may call higher intelligences. Perhaps the real mystery is not whether beings came from the sky. Perhaps the real mystery is why they came, what they taught, and why their presence still haunts the human imagination. So open the gates of memory, look beyond the veil of ordinary history. Tonight, we enter the forbidden connection between UFOs and the ancient gods. Long before telescopes measured the stars, long before satellites circled the Earth, ancient humanity was already telling stories of visitors from above. In Mesopotamia, one of the oldest civilizations known to history, the sky was not an empty dome. It was alive with intelligence. The Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki, powerful beings associated with the heavens and the shaping of human destiny. These figures were not distant abstractions. They intervened in earthly affairs, granted kingship, brought laws, and were connected with the mysterious ordering of civilization itself. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was not merely a political ruler. He was a bridge between Earth and the stars. The pyramids were aligned with celestial patterns. The soul of the king was believed to travel to the imperishable stars, joining the divine realm of Osiris and the cosmic order of Ma'at. To the Egyptian initiate, the sky was not just space. It was a sacred map of consciousness. In India, the ancient Sanskrit epics speak of vimanas, flying vehicles of the gods. The Mahabharata and Ramayana describe celestial weapons, aerial battles, radiant beings, and divine craft moving through the heavens. Whether we interpret these as literal machines, symbolic visions, or mythic memories, they reveal something profound. Ancient people imagined the divine not only as spiritual, but as mobile, radiant, and descending from above. In the Hebrew scriptures, the prophet Ezekiel describes a vision by the river Shebar. Wheels within wheels, flashing lights, strange living beings, and a throne-like structure appearing from the sky. For centuries, mystics interpreted this vision as a revelation of the divine chariot, the Merkaba, a vehicle of heavenly ascent. Modern readers, however, sometimes notice how strangely mechanical the imagery sounds. Movement in every direction, fire, brilliance, and an overwhelming encounter with an intelligence beyond human comprehension. And in the Americas, the Maya, Aztec, Hopi, and other indigenous traditions preserve stories of star beings, sky teachers, feathered serpents, and ancestors who came from celestial realms. The figure of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, is especially fascinating, a being associated with wisdom, civilization, Venus, and the transmission of sacred knowledge. Again and again, the pattern repeats. Beings from above arrive, teach, transform, and depart. But to understand these stories properly, we must avoid two extremes. The first extreme is to dismiss ancient people as naive, imagining that every celestial myth was simply superstition. This view forgets that ancient cultures were often deeply sophisticated in astronomy, mathematics, architecture, ritual psychology, and symbolic language. The second extreme is to force every myth into a simple ancient astronaut explanation, as if every god was merely an alien in a helmet. This also limits the mystery. Ancient traditions did not divide reality the way we do. For them, matter and spirit, stars and souls, gods and cosmic forces were woven together. To the ancient mind, a being from the sky could be physical, spiritual, symbolic, and cosmic all at once. This is where the philosophical mystery begins. What if the gods were not just external visitors, but expressions of higher intelligence, interacting with human consciousness through forms we could understand? What if UFO encounters today appear technological because we live in a technological age, while ancient encounters appeared divine because ancient people lived in a sacred universe? The masks may change, the mystery may remain. The chariot becomes the saucer, the angel becomes the luminous being. The temple vision becomes the close encounter. The divine messenger becomes the intelligence beyond the veil. And perhaps, across all ages, humanity has been wrestling with the same question. When something greater than us appears from the sky, are we witnessing beings from another world? Or are we being invited to remember that reality is far stranger, deeper, and more sacred than we were taught? To understand the forbidden connection between UFOs and ancient gods, we must begin with a pattern that appears again and again across human history. The pattern is this: a mysterious intelligence descends from the sky. It overwhelms ordinary human understanding. It communicates knowledge, warnings, laws, or visions. It changes the course of individuals, tribes, or entire civilizations. Then it disappears, leaving behind symbols, temples, rituals, and stories. This pattern is not limited to one culture. It appears in different languages, different lands, and different ages. The names change, but the structure remains strangely familiar. In the ancient world, these beings were called gods, angels, devas, watchers, star ancestors, sky people, or celestial teachers. In the modern world, they are called extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, non-human intelligences, or occupants of unidentified craft. But perhaps the difference is not in the phenomenon itself. Perhaps the difference is in the vocabulary of the witness. Imagine showing a smartphone to a person from 5,000 years ago. They might not describe it as a device using microchips, wireless signals, satellites, and digital networks. They might call it a magic mirror, a speaking stone, a tablet inhabited by spirits. Their description would sound mythological, but the object would still be real. In the same way, if ancient people encountered advanced aerial phenomena, luminous beings, or intelligences beyond ordinary comprehension, they would describe them through the language available to them: fire, thunder, chariots, wings, stars, gods, and heavenly realms. This does not mean every myth is a misunderstood UFO report. Myth is much richer than that. Myth is not simply false history. Myth is symbolic memory. It preserves experiences that may be spiritual, psychological, historical, and cosmic at the same time. The ancient gods often came from above, but above did not merely mean physical altitude. It meant higher order, higher consciousness, higher law. The heavens represented the realm of intelligence, pattern, destiny, and divine authority. When a being descended from the heavens, it symbolized the arrival of knowledge from beyond the ordinary human mind. This is where UFO phenomena become especially interesting. Modern UFO encounters are rarely just about machines in the sky. Many witnesses describe a strange alteration of consciousness. Time behaves differently. Thoughts become unusually clear or unusually confused. Communication may occur telepathically. Emotions intensify. A person may feel terror, reverence, awe, or even a sacred presence. In other words, the encounter often behaves less like seeing an aircraft and more like entering a ritual chamber. This is one reason some researchers and mystics suggest that the UFO mystery may not be purely technological. It may be a phenomenon that interacts with consciousness itself. Ancient encounters with gods were similar. When Moses approached the burning bush, he did not merely see fire, he entered sacred space. When Ezekiel saw the divine chariot, he was not only observing a strange object, he was transformed by vision. When shamans spoke with sky spirits, they were not simply reporting unusual lights. They were crossing the threshold between worlds. The core concept is that contact with higher intelligence often appears in the form most powerful to the culture receiving it. To a temple civilization, it appears as gods descending in glory. To a prophetic culture, it appears as angels, wheels of fire, and divine messengers. To an industrial civilization, it appears as metal craft, advanced technology, and beings associated with scientific possibility. The mask changes according to the age. The messenger wears the clothing of the mind that perceives it. This does not make the phenomenon unreal. It may suggest something even stranger, that the phenomenon is adaptive. It may communicate through symbols, images, and forms that penetrate the collective imagination of humanity. Think of it like light passing through stained glass. The light itself may be one reality, but the colors that appear depend on the window it shines through. Ancient people saw the colors of myth, ritual, and divine kingship. Modern people see the colors of science fiction, aerospace technology, and extraterrestrial speculation. But behind the colors, there may be the same light. This is why the connection between UFOs and ancient gods is forbidden. Not because it gives us easy answers, but because it dissolves the walls between categories we were taught to keep separate. Religion and technology, myth and history, spirit and matter, outer space and inner consciousness. What if these were never truly separate? What if humanity has always been standing before the same mystery, naming it differently in every age? But the deeper we go, the more the mystery refuses to stay simple. If ancient gods and modern UFOs share a hidden connection, then we must ask, are we dealing with physical beings from distant planets, spiritual forces from higher dimensions, projections of the human psyche, or something that includes all of these possibilities? This is where the subject becomes truly forbidden, because the old categories begin to collapse. A purely material explanation says, these beings may be advanced visitors from other worlds, mistaken by ancient people for gods. In this view, the Anunnaki, the Vimanas, the fiery chariots, and the star teachers were memories of contact with civilizations far beyond Earth. Their technology seemed divine because humanity had no scientific language to describe it. But a purely spiritual explanation says something different. These beings are not astronauts, but intelligences from subtler planes of existence. They enter human awareness through visions, dreams, altered states, rituals, and sacred encounters. They are not traveling only through space, but through consciousness. And then there is a third possibility, perhaps the most unsettling of all. What if the phenomenon is both physical and symbolic? What if it can leave traces in the outer world while also speaking directly to the inner world? Many modern UFO encounters have this double nature. A witness may see a light in the sky, but also receive a message. A craft may appear on radar, but the person involved may experience dreams afterward. An event may seem technological at first, then become spiritual, prophetic, or deeply psychological. This is why the phenomenon often feels like a mirror. It reflects the beliefs, fears, hopes, and symbols of the people who encounter it. In ancient times, humanity feared the wrath of gods and prayed for divine protection. So the sky beings appeared as thunder gods, solar deities, angels of judgment, and radiant teachers. In the modern age, humanity fears technological collapse, nuclear war, artificial intelligence, ecological disaster, and cosmic loneliness. So the sky beings often appear with messages about destruction, planetary healing, forbidden science, or humanity's place among the stars. The form changes, but the confrontation remains the same. Humanity is being forced to ask, what kind of beings are we becoming? This is why many ancient myths describe the gods not only as teachers, but as testers. Prometheus gives fire to humanity, but fire becomes both civilization and danger. The Watchers in the Book of Enoch descend and teach forbidden arts, but their knowledge leads to corruption and catastrophe. The gods of many traditions grant power, but power always demands wisdom. The gift from above is never neutral. It awakens what is already hidden inside us. This may be the central meaning behind the forbidden connection. Contact with higher intelligence always accelerates human evolution, but it also exposes human immaturity. If a child is handed a flame, the flame can warm the house or burn it down. The same is true of knowledge. The ancient stories warn us that humanity has received gifts before: astronomy, metallurgy, language, medicine, sacred architecture, ritual power, and the knowledge of cycles. But again and again, these gifts are followed by pride, violence, hierarchy, and spiritual forgetfulness. Modern UFO mythology carries the same warning in a new form. The question is no longer whether we can build machines that fly. We already have. The question is whether our consciousness has evolved enough to meet what waits beyond the known. A civilization that conquers the atom but cannot master greed is still spiritually primitive. A species that reaches the moon but cannot live peacefully on Earth has not yet become cosmic. This is where ancient wisdom becomes more important than modern speculation. The old initiates understood that contact with the heavens was dangerous if the soul was unprepared. This is why temples required purification before revelation. This is why mystery schools taught silence, discipline, humility, and self-knowledge. The purpose was not simply to see strange lights or speak with celestial beings. The purpose was to become the kind of person who could receive higher knowledge without being destroyed by ego. In this sense, the UFO mystery may not be asking us only to look upward. It may be asking us to look inward. Because if there are beings beyond humanity, then meeting them is not only a scientific event, it is a spiritual initiation. It forces us to confront our assumptions about God, matter, consciousness, history, and the soul. Perhaps ancient gods and modern UFOs are two doors into the same temple. One door is carved with myth, serpent, star, and flame. The other is made of metal, light, radar, and impossible motion. But both doors open toward the same forbidden chamber. The realization that humanity may be part of a much larger intelligence system, one that has been guiding, testing, confusing, and awakening us since the beginning. And the most disturbing possibility is this: the gods may not have left. They may have simply changed their masks. If the ancient stories of sky gods and modern UFO encounters teach us anything, it is this: the greatest mysteries are not meant to entertain the mind only. They are meant to transform the way we see reality. The question is not merely, are they real? The deeper question is, what does this mystery awaken in us? Because whether we interpret these beings as extraterrestrial visitors, spiritual intelligences, mythic symbols, or unknown forces of consciousness, the lesson remains powerful. Humanity must become more awake, more humble, and more inwardly prepared before it can truly meet the unknown. The first practice is sacred observation. For a few minutes each night, step outside and look at the sky. Do not look as a skeptic hunting proof. Do not look as a believer chasing signs. Look as an initiate. Breathe slowly. Let the mind become quiet. Feel the vastness above you, not as empty space, but as a living mystery. The stars are not decorations. They are ancient fires, silent witnesses, cosmic reminders that your life is part of something immeasurably larger. As you gaze upward, ask yourself, what kind of consciousness is worthy of entering the cosmic community? Do not rush toward an answer. Let the question work inside you. The second practice is mythic reflection. Choose one ancient story of a sky being, god, angel, star ancestor, or divine messenger. Read it slowly. Then ask 3 questions. What knowledge was given? What warning was hidden inside the gift? What part of myself does this being represent? This practice prevents us from becoming trapped in literalism. The gods may be beings, but they are also mirrors. The UFO may be an object, but it may also be a symbol. The sky may be above us, but it also reflects the unexplored regions of the soul. The third practice is discernment. Mystery can open the mind, but it can also confuse it. Many seekers become so hungry for hidden knowledge that they lose balance. They believe every strange light is a message, every dream is a prophecy, every coincidence is a cosmic command. Ancient traditions warned against this. Before seeking contact with higher intelligence, first build a stable inner foundation. Practice honesty. Keep your body healthy. Strengthen your emotional balance. Learn to sit with uncertainty. A mind that cannot tolerate mystery will quickly turn mystery into fantasy. Discernment means holding 2 truths at once. Remain open. Remain grounded. The fourth practice is inner purification. In the old mystery schools, revelation was never separated from character. The student was not given sacred knowledge simply because they were curious. They were prepared through silence, discipline, humility, and service. So ask yourself, if a higher intelligence observed my life, what would it see? Would it see fear ruling my choices? Would it see ego chasing power? Would it see a heart capable of wisdom? This is not about guilt. It is about readiness. If humanity wants contact with the stars, humanity must first become less violent within itself. If we want to meet beings beyond Earth, we must learn to meet each other without hatred. If we want forbidden knowledge, we must become responsible enough not to turn every gift into a weapon. The final practice is living as if the universe is conscious. Move through your day with reverence. Speak carefully. Notice signs without becoming obsessed with them. Treat nature as sacred. Treat strangers as messengers. Treat your own dreams as letters from the deep mind. The forbidden connection between UFOs and ancient gods is not only about what may be flying above us, it is about what is awakening within us. Because the true contact may not begin when a craft lands in a field. It may begin the moment a human being looks into the infinite sky and realizes the universe is not dead, and we are not separate from its mystery. So what have we truly uncovered? Not a simple answer, but a doorway. Across the ancient world, humanity remembered beings who came from above: gods, angels, watchers, devas, star ancestors, and radiant teachers. They arrived in fire, light, thunder, wings, wheels, serpents, and celestial chariots. They gave knowledge, demanded reverence, warned of destruction, and changed the destiny of civilizations. Today, the same mystery seems to wear a new mask. We no longer speak first of temples and divine chariots. We speak of UFOs, non-human intelligence, impossible craft, close encounters, and unexplained phenomena. But beneath the modern language, the ancient pattern remains. Something greater than humanity appears at the edge of understanding and forces us to question who we are. Perhaps the gods were not simply aliens. Perhaps UFOs are not simply machines. Perhaps both are fragments of a larger mystery, one that touches the stars, the soul, history, consciousness, and the hidden architecture of reality itself. The forbidden connection between UFOs and ancient gods does not ask us to abandon reason. It asks us to expand it. It asks us to study the old myths with fresh eyes and examine modern mysteries with spiritual depth. It asks us to become seekers who are both open and grounded, curious and discerning, humble and awake. Because if higher intelligences have visited humanity before, then the greatest question is not where they came from. The greatest question is whether we are ready to meet them again. And maybe readiness does not begin with governments, telescopes, or secret files. Maybe it begins in the human heart. When we overcome fear, when we purify intention, when we stop worshiping power and begin honoring wisdom. When we look at the night sky not as owners of Earth, but as students of the cosmos. The ancient gods may have descended from the heavens, and the strange lights may still move silently above us. But the real revelation is this: the universe may be watching humanity awaken. And when we finally become worthy of the mystery, we may discover that the sky was never empty. It was waiting.